The night had started like any other in the small town, quiet enough for the biker club to relax after a long week on the road. But everything changed the moment the president of the club, Mason Hale, got the call every parent fears. His daughter Lily, smart, kind, and loved by everyone in the clubhouse, had suddenly vanished. Her phone was found on the side of the road, screen cracked, engine noise echoing faintly in the last voicemail she never meant to send. Within minutes, the club knew something was wrong, and when a stranger's voice leaked through that voicemail, cold and threatening, they realized this wasn't an accident. Someone had taken her. Rumors spread fast, pointing to a local drug dealer known for stirring trouble around town. No one wanted to believe he'd go this far, but the signs lined up too perfectly. Mason's hands shook, not with fear, but with a controlled anger only a father could understand. His brothers stood behind him, ready to move, ready to protect their own. The air grew tense as engines turned over one by one, headlights cutting through the darkness. But the club didn't know the full story why Lily was targeted, what the dealer really wanted, or how much danger she was in. All they knew was that time was slipping away, and every second counted. As they rode into the night, unaware of the trap waiting ahead, one question lingered. Would they reach Lily before everything spiraled beyond their control? The road stretched ahead of them, long and empty, as the biker club pushed deeper into the outskirts of town. Mason couldn't shake the memory of Lily's smile, or the way she always waited up when he got home late from a ride. She'd grown up around the club, she knew the rules, knew the people, and never wandered into trouble. That's what made this whole situation feel wrong. It wasn't like her to be anywhere near someone connected to that drug dealer. As the bikers rode, the club's vice president, Rocco, filled Mason in on what they'd learned. Earlier that week, Lily had been seen talking to a young woman who'd recently disappeared from the same part of town where the dealer operated. At the time, it seemed like nothing more than a friendly conversation. Now it felt like a missing piece they had overlooked. Maybe Lily had tried to help someone. Maybe she'd been seen with the wrong person at the wrong time. Back at the clubhouse, the older members had started digging through old incidents linked to the dealer. Small threats, strange meetings, quiet disputes. Nothing big enough to start a war, but enough to suggest he'd been building tension with the club for months. It almost felt planned, like he was waiting for the perfect moment to shake them. But what bothered Mason most was the silence. No demands, no messages, no warning. Just Lily gone, and a trail leading into uncertainty. As the club approached a rundown stretch of warehouses, a place known for trouble, the air grew heavier. Something was off, and every rider could feel it. The real question now was what waited for them inside the shadows, and whether they were already a step behind. Inside the dim warehouse district, the bikers slowed their engines, letting the quiet settle around them. Mason scanned every dark corner, hoping for any sign of Lily. The place felt abandoned, but not in a natural way, more like someone had cleared out only minutes before. Rocco motioned toward a broken window where a faint light flickered, as if someone had been watching them approach and slipped away at the last second. Mason's mind raced. He kept wondering why the drug dealer chose Lily of all people. It didn't feel random. The more he thought about it, the more he sensed this had roots deeper than anyone realized. Maybe it wasn't about Lily herself, but about getting to him, or testing how far the club would go. That thought made the tension inside him tighten even more. Meanwhile, back in town, another thread of the story was unfolding. An older club member named Tanner had gone to check on Lily's friend, the young woman she'd spoken to before she vanished. Her apartment door was unlocked, lights still on, as if she stepped out in a rush and never returned. Tanner found a small notebook on her table, pages filled with quick notes about people coming and going around the dealer's place. She'd been keeping track of something, maybe even trying to expose someone. Whatever she knew might have pulled both her and Lily into danger. As Mason and the bikers moved deeper into the warehouse yard, a motorcycle engine roared somewhere in the distance, too close, too sudden, and not one of theirs. They exchanged quick looks, ready, but unsure of what they were walking into. The tension only grew as they realized they weren't alone out there, and whoever was watching them wasn't ready to show themselves just yet. The sudden roar of the motorcycle echoed through the yard, bouncing off the metal walls and pulling every biker to full alert. Mason lifted a hand, signaling his crew to spread out, keeping low as they moved between crates and rusted machinery. The sound faded for a moment, then returned from another direction, as if someone was circling them on purpose, testing their nerves, studying their movements. It felt less like a threat and more like a warning. Rocco pointed toward a narrow alley between two warehouses, where a shadow moved just out of reach. Mason stepped forward, his heartbeat loud in his ears. Whoever was out there clearly knew the area better than they did. Each second made the air heavier, tension twisting tighter around the whole group. Something wasn't adding up. If the drug dealer really had Lily, why hadn't he made demands? Why send one lone rider to tease the club instead of confronting them? At the same time, Tanner called Mason with an update. The notebook he found had one page circled a location on the far side of the industrial area, marked with a time scribbled beside it. That time was only minutes away. It felt like a clue, maybe even a trap, but Mason couldn't ignore it. The bikers regrouped, engines rumbling low as they prepared to move again. But before they could roll out, a loud crash came from inside the nearest warehouse. followed by a faint voice, muffled, strained, and unmistakably human. All the noise stopped. Every rider froze. Mason looked toward the dark doorway, his pulse spiking. For the first time that night, he felt they were inches from the truth, close enough to touch it, but just far enough that one wrong move could cost everything. The muffled voice inside the warehouse made every biker freeze. But before Mason could move toward it, the circling motorcycle screeched to a stop behind them. A lone rider stepped off, helmet still on, hands raised as if showing he meant no harm. The gesture only made the moment more unsettling. No one approached the club alone, unless they were desperate or hiding something big. Mason signaled his crew to hold back. The rider slowly reached up and removed the helmet, revealing not the drug dealer, but the missing young woman Lily had spoken to earlier. Her eyes were wide with fear, and she looked exhausted, like she had been running for hours. "I tried to warn her," she said quietly, her voice shaking. "I didn't know he'd go after her too." Her words hit Mason like a punch. This wasn't just about Lily anymore. Something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Something the dealer wasn't acting on alone. The young woman explained that the dealer had been working for someone else, someone who wanted leverage over the biker club, and had been watching them for months. Lily and the young woman had accidentally crossed into something planned long before tonight. Before Mason could ask more, the crash inside the warehouse echoed again, this time followed by a second voice, sharp and unfamiliar. The young woman's face went pale. "That's him," she whispered. "But he's not alone." The realization hit everyone at once. They weren't walking into a simple rescue. They were stepping into a setup crafted by someone who understood the club's every move. And now, with two voices inside and a trembling witness standing before them, the stakes had just risen far beyond anything they expected. Mason stepped toward the warehouse door. The young woman close behind him, her breath unsteady. The bikers formed a tight line, ready to move as one. Inside, the second voice barked orders, and something heavy scraped across the floor. Mason pushed the door open just enough to see shadows moving under a single hanging light. Lily was there, tied, shaken, but unharmed. She was tied to a chair, but the ropes looked loose, as if whoever held her didn't know what they were doing. Standing near her was the drug dealer, pacing nervously. But the real shock came from the man beside him. It wasn't some unknown rival or hidden enemy. It was a former club member named Jocks, a man Mason had once trusted before he drifted away months earlier without explanation. Jocks looked different now, colder, focused, convinced he'd been wronged. The dealer had simply followed Jocks's plan, hoping to gain protection. Jocks wanted the club shaken, wanted Mason to feel the pressure he thought he'd lived under for years. Lily's kidnapping was his way of striking back, forcing Mason into a corner. When Mason stepped fully inside, Lily's eyes widened with relief. The bikers fanned out behind him, silent but steady. Jocks's bravado cracked as he realized he no longer controlled the room. The dealer backed away first, dropping any pretense of loyalty. Within moments, the confrontation dissolved, tension giving way to a few sharp commands, and a surrender neither antagonist could avoid. Lily was freed, pulled safely into her father's arms. But just as the club started to breathe again, the young woman gasped. The notebook page she had found, its time and location, wasn't a trap for Lily. It was a meeting point for someone else Jocks had been working with, and that person hadn't shown up. Why?